Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this press briefing by the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Myanmar, Mrs. Yanghee Lee. Mrs. Yanghee Lee, you got the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I just finished my oral report to the 71st session of the General Assembly 3rd Committee on the situation of Myanmar. As you know, that this is the year that there is no resolution put forth to continue monitoring the General Assembly's Third Committee's monitoring of the situation of the human rights in Myanmar. Well, last year was a very historical moment in the history of Myanmar. Now, for the first time, after 6 decades of military dictatorship, a civilian government is now in power. As you know, that Aung San Suu Kyi is now the state councillor. Having said that, we have to remind ourselves, and it's important to remember that it is a civilian government, but not yet, the whole Myanmar country is not yet completely ruled by a completely civilian government. The reason I'm saying this is because there is the 25% of the military's appointment in the upper, lower house and the regional parliament. They are military appointed parliamentarians, and also the military still controls the 3 major ministries: the Home Affairs, the Border Affairs, and the Ministry of Defense. And these 3 ministries have always been the key holders of posts from the military appointed. And they were the ones in the past, during the military dictatorship as well as in the Thein Sein government, where the human rights violations and abuses have occurred. And they continue to hold these posts, and these are some of the challenges that I find that Myanmar's new government is trying to grapple with, is how to negotiate with the military so that this country can be really a fully democratic government society that is a civilian-ruled society, country. You all know that the situation in the conflict areas, especially the armed conflict areas, the northern Shan, the Kachin, is still ongoing, and I'm afraid some more conflict has erupted, and which has displaced more people recently in the past few months. But armed conflict is now spreading to other parts of the country, such as Cayenne, and a few months ago in the northern Rakhine region, which is now had put more people in displacement. And currently the IDPs who are living in Kachin and northern Shan have been displaced for more than 4 years, and going on about 4 or 5 years now. In the Rakhine state, it is a very serious situation there. There has been no change in the citizenship law, and recently we have seen, and you have heard about the October 9th attack in the 3 posts of the in Mongdo, Ratidong, and Butidong area. And currently the northern part of Rakhine is under emergency situation. There are no foreign media allowed, and only state media and some private media are allowed in, but the private media are not allowed to report fully on what the situation is. So in other words, I am in the black, and I am in the dark, and so is the other parts of the international community. We really don't know what is going on. We hear horrific stories of extrajudicial killings, summary executions, arbitrary detentions, and many cases of rape and killing of civilians. These are unverified as of yet, but we do have some credible sources that support to these ongoing human rights violations. And I have urged that there has to be complete access to this area, and an impartial investigation needs to be conducted to really to explore the scope and nature and the cause of this recent attack. And this is my short intervention, and I'm here to entertain any questions. Thank you.
I just need to do a little follow-up. I remember a few months ago when Aung San Suu Kyi met with John Kerry, if I'm not mistaken. She wouldn't call Rakhine people as Myanmar citizens. Like, have you been talking to the government of Myanmar regarding this? I'm from Indonesia, and we house right now a few thousands of refugees coming from Myanmar, exactly for that particular reason. And so I really want to know how far has this been, because like the citizenship is definitely their main issues at the moment.
Thank you very much. May I ask what media outlet you're associated with?
Kompas.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure if you're referring to the Rakhine citizenship. I'm sure you're referring to the Rohingya population. Yes, the Rakhine are full citizens, but Rohingya, there's about 1.1 million people, Rohingya people living in Rakhine currently. They, as a result of the 2012 communal violence, they are living under a situation where there's no freedom of movement in IDP camps. And the 1982 Citizenship Act is still the law that governs the country in Myanmar, and this does not recognize them as one of the 135 ethnic minorities in Myanmar. However, before 1982, Rohingyas did have citizenship verification, national scrutiny cards, but since the 2012 communal violence, all of these cards were revoked. In 2015, all of the national scrutiny cards were cancelled by the previous government. They've conducted a pilot program, pilot citizenship verification in Myanmar and now certain other parts of Rakhine, and they were only allowed to self-identify as Bengali. And even those who did identify as Bengali, they are still living in Myeongdo IDP camps. And there's many Kaman Muslims who are recognized as one of the 135 ethnic minorities in Myanmar, and they are still living in Myeongdo, in Myeobon camps. They still did not have freedom of movement, although recent government statements say that they're now free to move around, Kaman Muslims. But the ones that I've met, they're still living in the Myeobon IDP camps.
But is there any way for you to actually push Myanmar to regard them as citizens?
Well, we've done that, and I've done that, and the international community has repeatedly done that. But the previous government had said that no, 1982 citizenship law is the law of the land, and we were hoping that this new government will amend it or even repeal the 1982 citizenship law. But it was clearly conveyed that it is not the intention of this current government to reform the 1982 citizenship
because
law.
Some Rohingyas living right now in Aceh region, they were basically very happy when the civil government is being elected, they thought that they would get their own, they can go back to their own country. That's what they said. But it turned out, even though a Nobel Peace Prize laureate basically runs the country, it did not happen.
I share the same sentiment. Thank you.
Mr. Lee, please.
Sure, thanks a lot. Matthew Lee, Inner City Press. Thanks a lot for the briefing. I guess, you were saying that there's no act that they block access to Rakhine State and seeing what's happening. And people send me things that have, I guess that they're unverified videos and Twitter, but there seems to be a lot of, and even some, there seems to be coverage even as recently as Sunday of this Kikon Pin village saying that 2,000 people were ordered to leave it on almost no notice. So I guess I'm just wondering, as a rapporteur, do you find these reports at least of enough credibility to kind of sound the alarm? And I separately wanted to know whether the UN has its good office's envoy, Mr. Nambiar, and I sometimes ask in this room, is he raising it to the officials, given how horrific some of these reports are? Does he? Have you spoken with him? Do you see that your two mandates in some way is related in terms of trying to provide at least some protection to people in Rakhine State?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. When you just walked in, right before that,
Sure.
I was saying that these are unverified, but I do have credible. These are some, I can say that some of them are very credible sources, but we have to be able to verify them as an international community. And as a rapporteur, I cannot make hasty judgments, but I should not be complicit too late in making my own assessment and judgments. And I have called, and you've probably seen the recent press statement that I and several other special rapporteurs have made on a call for complete access and to have an impartial assessment on that northern part of Rakhine. As far as Mr. Nambiar's good offices, I don't know if he has raised this issue to the government or not, and perhaps that would be the question for you to raise tomorrow when he's reporting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions, please? If not, then thank Mrs. Lee for this briefing. You will find Mrs. Lee statement, press release on the table there. Thank you all, and have a nice afternoon.
Thank you very much.